Hi, I'm Madison Mary. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. And now we're going to get into my 2021 5-star predictions. I'm doing only 15 5-star predictions this year instead of I think I did 20 last year, which was fine. I just didn't get to them all. And last year I made sure it was only books I have on my shelves. Whereas this year I'm actually picking 2 books that are coming out this year that I 100% know that I'm going to be buying. Without further ado, let's get into my 5-star predictions of 2021. I'm gonna start with the books that are coming out this year. The most obvious one is going to be A Court of Silver Flames. Now, the one disclaimer I will have for this is the fact that I want you to actually comment below if you think this is gonna be my favorite book of 2021. Because I think that's gonna be my biggest question for this year is a Sarah J Maas book was my favorite book of 2020. So will it also be the same this year? I don't know. But of course, 5-star prediction, Sarah J Maas is my favorite author, you know, got my tattoo and everything, so yeah. The next one's gonna be Empire of the Vampire by by J. Kristoff. I love J. Kristoff. His Nevernight trilogy is one of my all-time favorites, and so I'm super stoked for his vampire book. It is supposed to be nitty-gritty and just gross and hardcore and just I'm so pumped for it. And then the next book that also comes out this year that I think is gonna be, actually there's 2. I just thought of another one. One of those is gonna be Blessed Monsters by Emily A. Duncan. It is the 3rd book in the, what is this series called? The Wicked Saints trilogy? I know it has a name and that's definitely not it. But yeah, this 3rd book coming out. I have given 5 stars to the first 2. The chances of me not giving 5 stars to the final book is 0.01%, so I anticipate that to be a 5-star. And then the next one I anticipate to be a 5-star is Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. Now, Margaret Owen wrote the Merciful Cradology, and I anticipate her new book coming out this year to also be a 5-star for me. Her book coming out this year is a take on The Goose Girl. So if you do not know what The Goose Girl is about, that's sad because there's actually a book called Goose Girl by Shannon Hale that was one of my favorites growing up. And so it's basically this whole idea, this fairy tale about how there is this princess whose identity gets stolen by her guardian slash maid or head servant lady. And so the head servant lady ends up becoming the princess, and the princess ends up having to take on this maid servant role and loses everything, and then she ends up winning it back eventually, But Little Thieves actually follows the maid, so it's about the woman who takes the place of the Goose Girl. So I'm really excited on this new take on it with Margaret Owen, and I love her books, so yeah. Okay, now we're gonna go off of books that I actually own. The first of which is going to be Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I read my first Talia Hibbert in 2020 and that was Damaged Goods, and I loved it so completely that I'm oh my god, why have I never read Talia Hibbert before? So here I am with Talia Hibbert's other book that I own, and I think it's going to be a 5-star. Then we have Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. I've only heard phenomenal things about this. I just think it's gonna be a 5-star read. I know the kind of topics it deals with, especially with the whole music industry and grooming in that sense, that I just know these sort of hard-hitting books always tend to be 5 stars for me, so I anticipate this will be. We have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've only actually read one other V. Yeshua book and I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, so this is a bit of a chance, but I've heard from a lot of people that this has a lot more a romance focus in it than her other books. So that's the reason why I think it's gonna be 5 stars. Plus a lot of people who have Becca from Becca in the Books 5-starred this, and we have extremely similar tastes. So that's why I think it's gonna be a 5-star. That's the truth. There it is. That's literally the reason why. We have Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a horror novel. I'm super excited for this. I've mostly read thrillers, not horror, so I'm actually quite excited for this. Plus, everyone raved about this. I think this is the biggest one that I'm only putting on here because A, I'm interested in it, and also because other people have 5-starred it, so what are the odds that I don't? The next book I'm putting on here, the reason why I'm putting it on here is because this is just overall a book I need to read this year. Like if I do not read this book this year, when I respond to this video in 2022, if 2022 even happens and the world doesn't like implode on itself, like this is the book where like if I don't read it this year, I'm just gonna give up on everything. I'm just gonna lay on the ground and be like, that's it, I'm done, nothing else. Like it's okay. Anyway, that book is Wicked Fox by Cat Cho. I was so excited for this book when it was announced, and I tried to like read it early and everything. I just never got a copy, and then like I have like a beautiful edition. I even went to like the opening event that Cat Cho did here in New York, and I was so pumped, and I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to read this. It's a gumiho. It's kind of like a K-drama-esque. I love K-dramas, and I never read it. I never read it. Like what the F myself? Like why? What? Like, what? I have to read this book. I have to read this book. Like, I'm so annoyed. I haven't gotten to reading this damn book. Of course, I have to put my queen on this list, and that is ᴑᴏ This is Kingdom of the Wicked. I love ᴑᴏ, so why would I? Oh my god, do you guys see this edition? If I don't 5-star this, I think that I don't even know what would happen if I didn't 5-star this. I think it would be the world's saddest thing in the entire world, so. Another 5-star prediction is going to be I Wish You the Best by Mason Diva. I've put it off because I know it's going to make me bawl like a little baby, and I just haven't been in the mood to sit down and cry. So I know it's going to be great. I met Mason Diva at BookCon, back when BookCon still existed, and they were like the sweetest human in the whole entirety of existence, and so I want to support them. Now, the next book I'm putting on here is the one I'm most worried about, and I'm not worried that I'm not going to 5-star it, I'm worried that I'm not going to read it. Like, I'm literally putting this book on here and I'm like, if there's one book on this list that I do not get to this year, it's gonna be this one. This, the Day of Bad trilogy, I own it all. I bought exclusive editions of it because I have a problem. And I'm like, obviously it's gonna be 5 stars. Like, I'm gonna invest in these because I know I'm gonna love it, and then I'll be upset if I don't have like the UK hardbacks. But I'm so terrified to read them. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm terrified to read them. I am. Because I'm a weirdo like that. But I'm pumped. I know I'm gonna love it. It's the same issue I had with The Final Empire. And I didn't end up reading that until the very last week of 2020. So if I do read this book, it'll probably be the final week of 2021. Okay, so that's basically it for this list. There are 2 other books I want to like put on here as honorable mentions for like 5-star predictions. But if I don't get to them, like I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. The first is The Bear and the Nightingale. I'm like 80% sure this was on my 5-star prediction list of 2020. And I know that like the reason why I always put this book off is because I want to read it in like September, October. And then I just never get around to reading it in September or October because I have school and everything goes to the side and just disappears and dies. So every year I think this is just gonna be on my 5-star prediction list until I find the damn time to read it. So the last book I'm gonna mention is one that I have on my Kindle, and I don't remember the author's name, but the book is called Fumbled, and I really, really want to read this. I'm super excited for it. It's on my Kindle, so I want to include at least one Kindle book in here. Most of my romances are on my Kindle, so that's like a problem, is that like I tend to forget about them, but I still want to put them like, I want to do at least one of my Kindle books here on this 5-star prediction list. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this 5-star prediction list. If you like this video, please hit the like button down below, and until next time everyone, thanks a bunch, bye!